Her goal is to become the name for young women who crave unique clothes that can't be found at chain stores. And at the age of 20, designer Zoe Damacela is well on her way. She's now a sophomore at Northwestern University. Zoe has already gotten attention from the likes of President Obama and supermodel Tyra Banks. Last year, she won a contest to appear on the cover of 17 magazine. It is a long way from her humble beginnings, drawing dresses at the age of 4 and later selling her designs as a way to supplement her single mom's income. And Zoe Damacela joins us now. Zoe, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Well, tell me, you started designing clothes as a little girl when you were 4. How did that happen?
I think when I was little, I always loved drawing, and the first thing that came to my mind was always dresses.
And I've read that you and your mom, single mom, struggled when you were growing up. Mm-hmm. You were homeless at some point?
Yeah, definitely. My mom, she was working a couple jobs and she was trying to go to school and she was taking care of me by herself. And so we definitely went through a lot of tough times, but I think that that's what made me the person that I am today. And I definitely attribute a lot of my success to my mom.
And that's what, because the experience you went through has given you what, extra motivation?
Motivation, strength, determination, and really useful life skills on how to manage money and how to sort out what's a priority and what's something that you just want. A lot of skills that have come in very handy when running my business. Because
you once said that what you went through in your childhood, at times you felt helpless and you didn't want to feel helpless again.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that once I started my business, I became very empowered because I had finally achieved a level of financial independence that I had never had before, and that was a really amazing feeling, an amazing moment for me, and that's kind of what drives me forward and what keeps me motivated to keep running my business and going to school.
So how are your designs different from what one might find at a chain store, a department store?
I think that the first way that my designs are different are just the fact that they're designed by the person who is the target customer. I'm 20 years old, I go to college, I'm a regular person besides the fact that I'm running this business, and so I think that a lot of my customers really like the fact that someone who's exactly like them is making the clothes for them.
So you're targeting your clothes to people like you.
Exactly.
Another thing I read about you was that one of the things that got you motivated about designing clothes was that when you didn't have any money, when you and your mom were struggling, you kind of fantasize about the kinds of dresses you wanted to wear.
Absolutely, absolutely. I, of course, being just struggling with money issues, I always I had clothes to wear, but they weren't the highest fashions and they weren't name brands or anything like that. And so it was definitely nice to have something creative that I could wear and make a statement about my identity in that way.
I see. We just saw some video of some of your designs on the runway.
Yeah.
Where do you get your ideas?
I get my ideas from all kinds of different things. I'm so inspired by other fashion, but also just like art and music and things that I see on the street. And sometimes it's textures and colors and sounds, all kinds of things.
Okay, my understanding is that the top you're wearing right now is something you designed.
Yes.
Did you personally sew that too?
Yes, I did.
Tell me about the top that you're wearing.
The top that I'm wearing.
Hold on, we're looking at some other things here. Okay.
I actually made this when I was in high school. It was one of the first blouses that I made, and so it's definitely it's been around for a while, but it's something that's definitely really meaningful for me because it kind of shows me how far I've come, and I think it represents my design aesthetic really well too.
So it's kind of a classic for you then, if you made it in high school. Now I understand that tell me about the first dress you sold, because I understand it was not exactly a moneymaker for you.
No, not at all. The first dress that I sold, I think I was just so excited that someone liked my designs that I basically just said, I'm not really sure how much I should be charging, so just give me whatever you think is fair. And originally we had agreed on $25, but I actually only ended up getting $13 for the dress. So it definitely wasn't a huge moneymaker for me, but...
had you spent more money on the material?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I spent more money on the material plus the time, but I think it was good for me because it sort of gave me an idea that people were interested in the things that I was making for the first time. So.
And over the years, you've also, even though you're only 20 years old, you picked up some tips about entrepreneurship, and in fact, you were part of a national entrepreneurship competition which led to an encounter with President Obama. Tell me about what that competition was about.
Yeah, that competition is put on by the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. And basically what they do is they teach high school kids how to start businesses. And so I went through that program, and that's how I learned everything about business. And then when I got the news that I was going to go to the White House, I was just astounded. I mean, I couldn't believe that me liking sewing and liking fashion would lead me to one day meeting with the president in the Oval Office.
Obviously you told him you were from Chicago yourself.
I did, yeah. And Michelle Obama went to my high school, so we talked about that too.
Whitney Young,
Whitney
right?
Young, yeah.
Well, good for you. So what does your mom think about your success? Because it sounds like the two of you have sort of been on this journey together.
Absolutely. I mean, my mom is my biggest fan and my biggest supporter. She's the vice president of the corporation, and she also sort of works as my manager. But she's been so supportive this whole time. She really pushes me to go further. Every time I come up with a new design, she's always the first one to think of ways that I can improve it or think of ways that we can improve the business. So she always pushes me forward.
My understanding is that you've sold over 300 designs, something like that?
Oh, more than that
Oh, yeah?
right now, yeah.
And you're making a big dent in terms of your college costs through what you're doing, is that right?
Absolutely. I was fortunate enough to get really good scholarships from Northwestern, but to cover the rest of it that is covered by scholarships, I mean, my business is what's putting me through school.
And I also read that most of the people who are involved in your business are older than you are, even the interns, is that right?
I think there's no one who works at my corporation who's younger than me right now, which
so
is
you are the boss of them.
I'm the boss, but I think it's okay. I think that it's a fun and it's a good experience.
Okay, so what are your goals? I mean, do you want to leave your mark in fashion? I mean, are you thinking the creative side, the business side? Tell me about it.
I think that that's something that I've always sort of struggled with on which side I really wanted to lean. At first it was always fashion, and then over the years I learned that I really liked business as well, and so right now I'm really focusing on both, and I love the fashion side of my business, and I love actually running the company. So I think in the future I would really like to learn more about business, go to business school, and then probably open up some other businesses.
I think they have a business school at Northwestern.
They do, yeah, they do.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Is it true that you keep a sewing machine like in your room and that sort of thing?
I do, yeah. I
like
have in my dorm room.
In your dorm room you have a sewing machine?
Yes.
Do you have a roommate?
I don't have a roommate, luckily. Luckily I'm a single, otherwise I don't think she'd be too happy with me.
She would call you an old so-and-so
Yeah,
for keeping her up or something.
Probably.
Right. Zoe, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
All the best to you. It was a pleasure
meeting you.
meeting
Thank you so much. Thanks.
And you can read a Q&A with Zoe, including tips on where to shop in Chicago and how young people can start their own businesses on our website.